Hey guys, good morning. We're here in Dallas, Texas. It's just before, right at about sunrise here, and we're visiting our daughter for the 4th of July weekend. Now, she's got this beautiful pond in her HOA. They allow us to fish here, and there are fish in this pond, but we've got a little bit of a challenge because the grass comes right up to the water surface level, and because it does so, it makes it a little bit difficult to fish because everything you throw brings back grass and not too much bass. So I'm going to try a few different things and see if we can get successful. I've caught some fish here, but it's going to take a variety of different lures and a whole lot of patience. So let's have a little fun, see if we can catch some fish, bring in the 4th of July with a nice bang. I'm going to start with one of my favorites here. This is just a Zoom brush hog with a little bit of a tungsten weight on it. It's on an offset hook. And see if this, with a whole bunch of little action on it, can get a bite. So what I quickly figured out was this trip was a little bit different than the last trip, which was about 4 months ago. That grass had receded a fair amount and was no longer right on the surface. So the majority of my casts were actually good, clean casts with nice presentations. The other thing I figured out was there were no fish on this particular bank. And so I switched to a couple of different lures. I went with a buzzbait, just really hoping for that topwater crash. That never happened. And then I switched over to a spinnerbait. Now the spinnerbait I had some hopes with. I still didn't want to put a trailer on the spinnerbait because I was trying to keep the bait from going down too deep, and I wanted to be able to retrieve it slowly, but I did find that this spinnerbait grabbed too much grass, and so then it was time to make another adjustment. And that adjustment was going to another bank. Oh, looky here. Now this is interesting. See that guy? His job and my job are the same. Well, that bird would prove to be a good indicator. You see, that bird and I had the same mission. We both were looking for fish. Now, of course, he was looking for food. I was looking for fun. But as I moved around this bank, I got a little bit more optimistic because I also found that there was some wind pushing in directly to that shoreline. And so that gave me some confidence that perhaps some of the bait would be there, and where there's bait, there's going to be bass. I did not realize how close to the shoreline those bass would be, but it would prove to be a welcome discovery. I also made the executive decision to go back to that Zoom brush hog. I had been casting out about 30 feet, trying to find the outside grass line, hoping that there would be some depth close by and catch those fish. But then Mother Nature gave me a clue. I looked right down, not 6 feet away from me was some movement. So a little flip right there, and on my second flip, pay dirt. Got one. There we go. There. Hey. We tried a few different things, and we ended up going back to that brush hog. And I was casting out there trying to get on the outside of the grass line, but right on the inside of the grass line, right up here on the shore was where he was. I saw him move. You can tell this guy's active. And there we go. We got the first fish of the day. So I think we got our fish for the moment in this area. I'm going to go back and see if I can match that pattern because I saw some surface activity right over here on the corner. See if we can grab another one the same way. It's more than 6 inches deep. There we go. There we go. There. Yeah. All righty. Look at here. Well, I'll tell you what, these fish are active. Right here on the grass line and not deep water. I mean, it is very much less than a foot, maybe 6, 8 inches tops. And when they strike hard. You do not doubt that you have a fish. So there we go. There's another nice little chunk right here. So let's take a look at this shoreline here. This is what I've got. And right there in that little grass patch is where I caught that fish. And it was about a foot off the grass line and maybe 8 inches deep. He came out, grabbed that with fury. And then that first fish was caught right over there. Again, just off the grass line. So these two good-sized keepers were right here off the grass, not way out there on the outside grass line. There we go. Oh. There's another one. And that cost me my last Zoom brush hog. So there's another guy doing that same thing, just right along that grass line. And they're pretty aggressive. Like you say, when they're striking on this pond, you do not have to doubt, do you have a fish or not? Okay, so here's one thing. I've caught 3 fish on this and have not retied. And so you always want to check, especially with as aggressive as these fish are, that you don't have any frays in your line. And fortunately, I do not. And so I'm going to keep going. I have run out of brush hogs, so now I'm going to go with a lizard. It's a 6-inch lizard. Watermelon red is the color. Always love to have some red in there. 8-10. There's something. There we go. Yeah. Okay. Downsize the lure, downsize the fish, but still an active guy. Always happy to catch these. So all in all, I think this was a pretty successful morning. I fished for about an hour and a half, caught 4 fish, 3 of them good solid keepers, and we finally cracked the mystery. Now, the conditions were a little bit different the last time I was here. The grass was so high, it was right on the surface of the water, and 9 out of 10 casts would just come back with a whole bunch of grass. So it was that rare time when you got a good cast that you were able to make a presentation. Only caught 2 fish that day, and it was frankly pretty frustrating. So the water level's a little bit different, the grass is a little bit submerged, and so it gave me the opportunity to make some cleaner casts. And then we had to solve the mystery of the positioning of the fish, and we found them right back over that way along that rock walls when we caught all 4 of our fish. I really, at this location, only had 1 bite. So I'm gonna go in and get some breakfast now. Happy 4th. You know, on that last catch, I remember the words of my good friend, the great Terry Seagraves, who taught me once while we were flipping some mats in Florida. You want to present it to him so that you surprise him, not scare him. Meaning is that when you pitch in and it makes a huge splash, it's going to frighten him, put him in more of a defensive mode than an offensive mode. But if you surprise him and make him think, hey, now there's a surprise donut. I did not expect to see that. I will bite that. That's what you're after.